Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting.
What's up, everybody? It's the Northeast Retro Den back with episode 7.
7.
Like the film with Brad Pitt. But I only have 4 of the 7 deadly sins with me tonight. With me is Chris Sager, the man without a soul, Michael Henderson.
Yay!
And he is half man, half Uber fan. It is Nick Atkinson. It's the Northeast Retro Den Halloween special, episode 7.
Doodle-doo, 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 doodle-doo.
Birthday's on Sunday, and we're having a Halloween-themed house party just ourselves because we can't do anything. So Carol's going all out with like tombstones and stuff. It's a shame she hasn't got done now.
Can't get around tombstone the kids. I mean, I'm not say be scary, but you can't just tombstone the kids.
What's the point in having kids if you can't tombstone them?
Every dad has choke slammed their dens. I promise you that now, haven't you? Every dad has done that.
Oh, yeah.
Our bombs.
When's that Sunday, Chris?
Sunday, he's 8 on Sunday. We usually, like, Fright Fest is around his birthday. So, yeah, it's just a shame that obviously we're not going to be able to do that this year. But, yeah, so it's Halloween themed. So we're going to have he's got like a werewolf outfit and just going to watch films and have cake and
Cool.
all the rest of it.
Sounds good.
You good?
I was going to say it's Lily's birthday on Thursday, but I don't think she'll stretch to the Halloween theme.
How old's Lily now?
12.
Wow.
I don't know.
Oh, no, mate.
I mean, I've got a couple of my kids sleeping over this weekend, and where I'm going to get a load of pumpkins. Because they're teenagers, but it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? You know, making some, I don't know, some crap out of the pumpkins.
We always carve loads of pumpkins. Yeah. Right?
Good fun. We're going to get a Chinese, and then we're going to pick a load of horror movies, which we'll discuss tonight.
We will. We normally have a Halloween party. Tracy goes really big in for it. Spends a fortune on Halloween decorations every year. Our loft chocker with them. Halloween costumes and items and empty console boxes. That's the contents of my loft. But even this year, obviously, we can't have people around for a Halloween party this year, but you still bought daft mechanical things from Asda and Costco and that.
Yes.
But what we're thinking about doing, if it's a nice night, we're going to go outside, and the side of the house is painted white. So I'm going to put the projector on it, and we're going to watch Halloween on the side of the house.
Nice.
Because I've got like a gazebo I can put up. I'm going to sit outside with like some rum and Halloween on the Halloween night, and we'll have bags of sweets in case there's kids going by and stuff. And at least try and do a socially distanced, locked down on our own Halloween night.
So that's the original Halloween you're going to watch?
Yeah, the original one, yeah. Class.
I did go to the pictures. I did go to the Canon Cinema, Monkston.
In Monkston.
You remember that?
Yeah, I used to go there.
To see, I think Halloween H2O.
That wasn't a bad one, actually.
That's what I wanted to see. Yeah, before the Canon closed.
Sort of a reboot, wasn't it? H2O, the sort of reboot.
Yeah,
it's like
you kind of relaunched it, didn't it? It was good.
Yeah.
I like the H2O, yeah.
Even that must have been over 20 years ago, is it?
Late 90s, I would say, but 97 or something.
Is that the one with
the poster on the wall?
Is that the one with Dr. Dre soundtrack?
Yeah, that's the one.
No. There's one of them where, isn't there one of them where a rapper or other, Dr. Dre or somebody, fights, or Exhibit or someone fights Michael Myers in a Big Brother.
Busta Rhymes in H2O.
That's it.
1998?
Busta Rhymes, yeah.
1998?
98. But no, there's a later one where it's, I forget one of them, it's a really crap one, where it's done like a Big Brother setup where it's meant to be
No, that's the one with Busta Rhymes in.
Yeah, and he fights Michael Myers in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not H2O.
No, H2O is where Jamie Lee Curtis
comes back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And They do the bit where she's living in this like gated community, don't they? And he finds her, and it's not bad as I remember, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's Josh Hartnett's first film. That was his claim to fame, being in H2O.
We've just rewatched.
Because he did the Faculty. When was the Faculty? Because that was another like sort of
Just
horror.
after.
Just after that was like 99, 2000. Yeah.
That's a great film as well, Faculty. Yeah.
Faculty is great. We are watching that this weekend.
We've just rewatched the remake. You know, the one they did about 2 years ago of Halloween. Oh. Well, not a remake. It's a sort of the sequel to Halloween 2, I think. They brought out 2 years ago with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, it was John Carpenter's original cut that he wanted to put out. But obviously they turned around and went, oh, no, we don't like that. But that was the theory around it, was meant to be like, this is John Carpenter's actual cut of the film.
Well, it's all a new film, but it's maybe what he wanted to originally do. But that's decent. That's worth a watch. Jamie Lee Curtis is class on it, but she is. I used to have a bit of a thing for Jamie Lee Curtis. That was after watching Trading Places.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same.
But see, those horrors, like the late 90s, that was my sort of time that I enjoyed them. I Know What You Did Last Summer. They're not real horrors, are they? Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Teenage high school horrors. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was Scream that sort of brought that back into prominence, wasn't it? Because horrors had been like naff for a while, and then Scream was a massive success. And then you had I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legend, and
brilliant
things like that. We watched the first two I Know What You Did Last Summer, because the other was three, wasn't there? It was I Know What You Did Last Summer. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And then there was I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Oh, no.
Well, the first one's good. The second one's better than I remembered, and I haven't rewatched the third one, and I don't think
No. But it does what it says on the tin, isn't it? They are teen slasher movies.
In the second one, I was surprised because I didn't remember this. There's a very young Jack Black in it with dreadlocks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's the groundskeeper.
He's the stoner kid thing. Yeah, he works on the holiday island they go to in the Caribbean.
You need to watch these again. You see the good ones. Obviously, I do remember the Nightmare on Elm Street. All them. I mean, they were like obviously when we were younger, but I was scarred for life. I don't know about you, but my mother would watch these late at night on video or whatever, and she would say, "If you're staying up, you'll have to watch it." And you would watch these horrors, and you were literally horrified as a kid. Or was that just me punished?
Nightmare on Elm Street was pretty bad. Like when I was a kid, that was
the first one's still pretty horrific. I mean, they get silly as they go on, but the first Elm Street, it's pretty brutal stuff.
Johnny Depp's in that one of them.
He is. He gets liquidized. Spoilers.
Yeah.
He's in part 5 as well, isn't he? Freddy's dead.
Part 6 is Freddy's dead. Yeah, he's got a cameo in that. Yeah. Right, so enough about movies for the moment. It's a horror theme night, so let's get ourselves back in the swing of things without talking about things that aren't game related. We'll talk about things that are game related. Easy one to get going. I want to know what your favorite horror game is of all time, any generation, any game. Howie, Nick, you can be first.
Well, everybody's going to know what I'm going to say. It's got to be Resident Evil.
Which one?
I'm going to say the director's cut. Reason being is that 1997 release was brilliant, sheer brilliance, just for the little bits and the tweaks that they put in. Camera angles, cinematic sequences, they were all better than the original 96 version they released. For me, I remember picking it up in Charlie's, and I picked it up and I thought, is this just going to be another sort of genre type that I'm not going to like? Because I was massively into Final Fantasy at the time. And then I played it, and that was me locked in the house all weekend. I had none of my friends seen us, to be fair. Wow. And I played the death out of it. Not pun intended.
It was class. I mean, I think I have played the director's cut, but other than the analog controls, I couldn't tell you the differences on it. But we played through Resident Evil, and it felt different at the time. I hadn't played a game quite like it before. Not sure what reading the realms of horror there was before that. You'd have horror fighting games or horror platformers or something, but there was very little that had that kind of spooky element. And everyone shot themselves at the Rottweiler a bit, didn't they?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was. I think even the head turning zombie at the start, where you've got to stab him in the head. It's like, oh, hang on, where does that come from?
It's one
It
of
was
those
a
games.
suspense, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was.
They
Yeah.
didn't really have a game with suspense before that. Like, you know, you open a door and you had no idea what was in the next room, and it had that creaky kind of animated door opening. And you had no idea what was going to come next. It was
and Chris, you'll be able to tell with this. It was a bit different on the Saturn, wasn't it?
the Saturn.
Yeah.
So the Saturn was it doesn't play well now, to be honest. But it had a few extra modes and stuff in it. I think it had a few extra guns and
Something that had a different mode, didn't it? Some kind of score mode or something that it had.
yeah. I think like Sega had like secured a decent contract with Capcom for it to have all the exclusive bits, and it was going to be like a Saturn. It was supposed to be like one of the Saturn's like flagship titles, and then the PlayStation version was much better. And then the PlayStation got the Director's Cut, which Nick was on about, which took it to another level again. The Saturn version, it's hard to play now. The characters are very blocky. Yeah, hasn't aged well.
I'll be honest, I never played them when they came out, the Resi games, so I don't know what it was really like to play them, back in the day, and the atmosphere and everything. But I tried the Saturn game. In the beginning, there's like an intro to it, and it's like a movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine. Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers.
And I'd never played one before, so I'm watching this and I'm thinking, this is brilliant. This is going to be fantastic, this. And then it cuts to the actual game, which was just a pile of shit.
It was a really good.
I wouldn't go that far, but
I was just so disappointed. This cut movie scene, I thought this is going to be great, this. And then, like Chris said, those blocky graphics that were just...
It's not the best version.
hang on. Are we 10 minutes? Are we 10 minutes into the episode? Michael Hennis has just said Resident Evil's a pile of shit.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I just meant from someone who's never played it before, and then you see this great intro to the Saturn game, and then it cuts to that. You're like, just a bit disappointing, that's all. But I bet it was great back in 1990, whenever.
96, 97.
Yeah. It was groundbreaking. It's one of those games, it was good because I can totally remember the first time I seen it. I was at a friend's house and he showed us it, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. So, it must have been something new. But he didn't have a memory card, so we played through it for hours and then had to turn the console off. Lost everything. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And then obviously the Director's Cut came with the teaser for Resident Evil 2 as well. Let's stick the demo disc in and see what you think about that. And again, the video was on there as well, Michael, where you had the whole oil rig coming flying around the corner, and
that looked great, didn't it? I mean, it looked like I can imagine when you're like younger seeing that, think, oh my god, this is epic.
The RE2's aged really well.
Resident Evil 2 has, yeah.
So I'm gonna just jump in there because that was my choice, RE2. So brings me nicely onto that. But RE2. If you want to start from scratch now, I think that's the one to play because graphically was far better. It was superior. So my tale of Resident Evil. I remember reading Sega Saturn magazine as a kid, and Resident Evil was coming out, and it was raving about it for weeks and in the months leading up to it. And then it was on the demo disc, but it was just a video of the game. So you saw like the intro and then the bit with the zombie head turning, and it was all quite like, wow, that looks amazing, loads of mystique. And I never played it. And then about a year later, I was at my cousin's house down in Leeds, and he had a copy of Resident Evil 2 on his PlayStation. So I just started playing it, and I was just totally gobsmacked at how good it was. It was fantastic. The the start with the car crash, and then you've got to run through the city. And obviously, when you first play, you've got no idea you're supposed to run through the city. You just try and fight the zombies and die every time. But that was a game that really caught my imagination. It was just having the city and then having the police station was just the police station was, I guess it's very similar to the mansion in the first one, isn't it? It's the keys and the unlocking that puzzle to get the next bit, and
Quite iconic though, isn't it? The police station.
Yeah. So I think obviously they've had the remake recently as well, which is superb. If anyone's not played it, you need to play it.
It's amazing.
It's just superb. It's just one of my favorite games of all time. I could go on all night about it. Just while I'm on about it, I watched a video the other day about the N64 version, because it's obviously very heavily
compressed
and heavily priced, but there's lots of videos in it as well. So obviously there's that whole intro scene with the car crash, and there's a few videos throughout the game. And the N64 couldn't really do videos. I watched this video on YouTube about how they managed to compress the videos down and make them look natural on the N64. It's quite impressive. That's a really good version. And then the Dreamcast version, that's the best version. Dreamcast version's like all singing, all dancing, beautiful.
What about the Cube? What about the GameCube version?
Dreamcast version is better. Runs at a higher resolution.
The Cube, does it?
True. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
You play on VGA.
All right.
You play through it. Yeah.
We'll not mention Nemesis, Chris, will we?
Didn't like Nemesis.
Well, it's funny you should say that. It's funny you should say that because my choice.
No way.
Isn't? Nah, it's not. It's Eternal Darkness.
Oh. Nice.
I'm assuming you haven't played this, Michael.
I have it upstairs in the loft.
It's a game, so I would assume.
He's not
It's
not going to play it.
Amazing. It's survival horror. Sort of Resident Evil-ish in its controls, I suppose. You walk around, you've got those sort of tank controls. Have you got the tank controls? I'm sure you have. Yeah. And you investigate things, you find keys to get through locks and stuff like that. There's a huge sort of Lovecraftian thing to it all, though. The elder gods and shit like that. And basically, you're this. I'm not going to give the spoilers or anything, but you're this girl who inherits an old mansion, and she finds a book. And as she reads through the chapters of the book, you play through that, guys. And it's different people throughout the history who've held this book. So you start off in Roman times, and you end up in World War I trenches and all sorts. And it's how these gods have messed with people throughout the ages. And it's absolutely fantastic, but it's sort of its party trick is it tries to mess with you. It tries to catch you out. So it's really spooky. You'll be sat there, especially if you've got like a decent sound setup or anything. And you're playing the game and you'll hear bang, bang, bang. And I actually got up and went to the door. Because it makes it look like it's changed the channel on you. Like the channel changes on your telly. As if it's just gone into like video mode or something. It comes up. The save game screen will just pop up because as your character sees things she can't understand, like demons and shit like that, a sanity increases. And if your sanity gets too low, this sort of shit starts to happen. So there's like one part where it came up to say like on the save screen, and I went to save, and instead of save, it flashed up erase. Are you sure you want to erase your game file? Well, obviously I clicked no, and it came up erased. I'm going, ah! It's not. It's winding you up.
Brilliant. Sounds good.
It's messing with your head. And it
I
called me
remember
out.
reading.
Yeah, it made me think I deleted my game file. It's class. Obviously it's on the GameCube, so you can run it through a Wii through component or something. It's probably the best way you can look at it, unless you're really rich and want to get some GameCube component cables or something. But it's gotten more popular recently. I think the price has crept up a little bit. Well, I'm sure you can get it for 20 quid or something. It was ignored at the time it came out because it was released the same day as Super Mario Sunshine. So nobody noticed.
Oh,
I
I do have it. I do have it.
It's class. Thoroughly recommend it. One of the games I've lent it to people and they've come back and went, that was amazing. Never played now like it. So yeah, there you go. Eternal Darkness, not Resident Evil 3. Michael, have you got Resident Evil 3?
No, not at all. I've got to say, you've all picked immersive games, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Best
ones
horror
that you
games,
really-
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, those horror games that you really get into and probably value for money, I'm guessing.
You're going to pick Splatterhouse or something, aren't you?
No, but I do remember, obviously, Splatterhouse as a kid. That was probably one of the favourites in the arcades, even. I'm looking forward to playing more of these Castlevanias, like on the
Well, that's
Mega
behind
Drive.
you. Castlevania Bloodlines, or New Generation, as it was known. I was there before. It's probably an unpopular opinion, but that's my favourite Castlevania. I absolutely love it.
I've only really played, I mean, I played a little bit on the NES games, but really this and Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's my favourite, yeah.
That's really good. I've got to say, that is really good. If you haven't played that, it's well worth, I mean, I know it costs an absolute fortune, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But
Not the way I play it, it's not.
Yeah, same here. Same here. But it's well worth it from what I have. But that's not my favourite. My favourite has to be one of the first arcade machines I bought.
House of the Dead.
Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. It is. It's just brilliant. I can play it on the arcade with the kids. I mean, well worth the money, what I paid for it, for that arcade. Well worth the money. I'd pay it again for that arcade all day long. I'll not say what I paid, but I would pay it again for it all day long. That, all of them on the Saturn. I play it on the Saturn. It's great fun. Dreamcast.
It's not very good on the Saturn, like.
Oh, I loved it. I still love them. It's still good fun on the Xbox. Brilliant.
Xbox had the House of the Dead. Was it 3 and 4 collection or something? Or 2
Yeah,
and 3?
three.
2 and 3? 3 and 4. Yeah. The shotgun, yeah.
That's right.
If anyone wants to play them on modern tellies as well, the Wii, you can use the Wii handgun thing and play it.
Wii came, yeah, and they did. The Wii did. There was a double set in the Wii of 3 and 4, or 2 and 3. 2 and 3.
Yes.
2 and 3, yeah.
And then they also did House of the Dead Overkill.
That's right. Yeah. I've got the hand cannon, yeah, but they are great fun. They are value for money and great fun. I love them. Absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely hands down.
Very scary, like.
I mean, not scary. You know what it is? You say it's not scary, but I've had complaints at the arcade about kids.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. And this is House of the Dead. I've had complaints on feedback. House of the Dead a bit too scary.
Huh?
So, and this is good. You know, it doesn't look scary to us, obviously, but to a 5-6-year-old kid.
I think I prefer Vampire Knight, actually. When it comes to console,
I've got
games.
that.
Yeah.
On a PlayStation 2.
Yeah, by Namco.
That's good fun. Namco do some great ones.
They
But
do.
I mean, there's loads of horror games you could choose from. I mean, Aliens. That was it. They were all good.
The side-scrolling shooting one in the arcade, yeah. And Alien vs Predator, but Alien vs Predator, I think you're asking me from horror at that point.
Yeah, it goes towards action, doesn't it? But yeah.
Yeah.
But side-scrolling shooter was great fun, wasn't it?
Oh, the Konami one is fantastic, yeah.
Yeah. So
Nice
there
one.
you go.
Brilliant. Well, I agree with all of your picks for once.
Hey, even mine.
I like it. Who doesn't like House of the Dead? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
If you don't like House of the Dead, what are you doing watching this?
Didn't they release a 4D one a couple of years ago in the arcades? Where there was scent coming through. You stood in a big cabinet.
You were in the
That's
cabinet
right.
and it would blow wind at you and stuff. They had it in the
Yeah,
Metro Centre.
yeah.
The Namco Funscape had it.
That's right, yeah.
I remember trying to get my daughter to try it with us and she wouldn't.
Same with mine. She was like, no.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
So, guys, we've discussed your favourite horror game. What I want to discuss, though, is which horror game actually scared you. And so it probably takes Michael out of the equation with these arcade games.
Yeah.
But I'm going first this time, in case anyone's picked the same as me, because I don't know what you've picked. So, horror game that scared me the most
Oh, you know what it is?
Oh, beautiful.
I was going to go with that as well.
We'll both do that. I thought you might.
Sorry, I'll go somewhere else. It's all right, fine.
Yeah, especially in VR. Did you play it in VR, Chris?
No, I can't imagine playing it in VR. Carol's sitting here, she's laughing mad, which is the scariest game because she knows how much that scared me, that game.
It's the atmosphere in it, the tension it builds up is unbelievable. When you're playing it in VR and you're creeping around that maggot-infested, rotten house, well, I mean, the bit right near the beginning where with the chainsaw in VR was just hell, man. The bit where there's a point in annotate, which point because anyone hasn't played it yet, you know, it's about 5 years old, the game. There's a bit where someone gets the top of their head taken off with a shovel. And the shovel comes through the back of the guy's head, takes the top of his head, and stops in front of your nose in VR. With just like his dead eyes looking at you. Oh, man. I didn't actually finish it, I bottled. I've never had a game scare the shit out of me like Resident Evil 7 in VR did. What an experience. I wouldn't say it's a good experience, but I've never known a game like it.
Did you have one of them as well, Simon?
I didn't know. What do they smell of?
Or death.
Death.
It smells like rotten flesh. It's
Trust me.
Horrible.
A couple of hours.
Everything going.
A couple of hours of me playing Resident Evil 7 in VR, the room smelled bad enough already. You know what I mean?
It's a fantastic game, though. It's
Isn't
that you know when you first go in and you've got to watch the videotape and you kind of play through the videotape to know what you need to do yourself and it's just you know it's the suspense is fantastic, but it's you know how gory and how violent it's going to get because there's no holds barred with the whole game, but it's the way it builds it up for you don't know when it's coming. It's magnificent.
It's so bizarre that went from Resident Evil 6 to that.
Oh,
Resident Evil 6,
terrible.
which might have well just been called Call of Duty Resident Evil Edition or something.
Oh, it was stupid.
To that.
There was very little horror at all in Resident Evil. It's an action game. The whole series went action, didn't it? The films were tripe.
You know what the sad thing is, though? From what I understand, I haven't looked this up, this is what I seem to remember. Resident Evil 7 didn't sell particularly well.
It looks like you're using that format for Resident Evil 8.
The Village one. Because people were buying the crap action ones, but I think Resident Evil 7 was a bit hardcore for people.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. People because 5 and 6. I think 6 is the best selling one of the lot. I think. But I think 7. I think 7 was so poor sales wise on the back of 6. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. I mean, they put it out as a player's choice quite quick because they thought, well, hang on, nobody's. I think it was due to the fact that there was no. Oh, there's a zombie there. Well, no, there's not. There's a psychotic family there, but there's no zombies. And I think everyone sort of went, put it down.
It's far scarier, and it's not that they're not just a psychotic family. There is a supernatural element to it.
Yeah, it's very good how because you don't really know how it because I mean until probably the last 10% of the game, you would think it's totally detached from Resident Evil as a series anyway. It's only tied together right at the very end. It does make a lot of sense. But on the back of Resident Evil 7, we had Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 3 remake, and they were tremendous. Well, Resident Evil 2 was tremendous. Resident Evil 3 it was all right.
I very much like the two of them.
Yeah. Well, 3 was just too short. So Resident Evil 2 was what £35 when it released, and it was you know I still play it now. Like 2 years later, I'm still playing Resident Evil 2 remake. Resident Evil 3 was a full price to remake, but it was a fraction of the size of what Resident Evil 2 remake was.
It's only about 5 hours, isn't it? I rattled through it in a weekend. Yeah. It
was quite disappointing, to be honest. And they haven't really. I might be wrong, but there's no DLC for RE3 yet, whereas RE2's got all sorts of different campaigns and stuff.
Right. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it wasn't very long.
Yeah. So I think on the back of Resident Evil 2, we've been so successful. I think Resident Evil 3's probably been quite successful. I think they went all in again on RE8, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be good as well.
So if you can't have Resident Evil 7, then Chris, do you want to quickly nominate a different game?
Yeah, so I was really split anyway, to be honest. But I haven't got it at hand now, you bugger. So
I'll
I wanted
superimpose it into your hand.
So I'm going to pick Silent Hill 2. I could have picked 1 or 2, to be honest. But Silent Hill games, I haven't finished Silent Hill 2. I love survival horror. And Silent Hill ticks all the boxes for what I enjoy. Terrifies me even now. Even was it like 20 years later? Almost 20 years later since Silent Hill 2 came out. I kind of play that game through. Terrifies me. It's everything Resident Evil was, but more sinister, more dark, more intense, more. It just there was no with Resident Evil. You know, there's going to be a zombie might slowly approach you and bite your neck and kill you. But in Silent Hill, there's all these creatures and flying monsters and little kids that are invisible that stab you, and it was just a step up in terms of horror. It terrifies me even now.
I can't get into them.
Really?
I've tried a few times, and usually what happens is I play the first half hour of the game, think this is pretty good, and then I've got no idea where I'm supposed to go next.
Yeah, it's not as linear as what the Resident Evil games are.
Yeah.
Resident Evil, you can kind of fumble your way through and kind of know where you're at. But Silent Hill, it's like you've got to look at the map and find the police station, and then it's a little bit more open, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you go down the street. The street's all destroyed. You can't go that way, so you got to find a different way to go. And it's good. It's terrifying. So that'll be my pick, Silent Hill. But honourable mention, have to mention the PT demo.
That's good. PT's good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I've never actually played it, but I watched somebody play it through on YouTube.
I've got it.
You've got it, have you? You're one of the lucky ones that you can still download it.
Well, the funny thing with PT mention is if you downloaded it, there's this myth that if you downloaded it and you deleted it, you can't download it again. You can, but there's a trick to it. So I can't tell off the top of my head how you do it, but if you Google it, as long as you have downloaded it in the past, I think you sort of connect you put a certain website on your phone, you connect your PlayStation to your phone's Wi-Fi, and you do it that way or something. I did it, and because my PlayStation 4 had died, I replaced it. Or the hard drive had died, and I replaced the hard drive, which meant I lost PT. I thought it was lost forever, but on looking it up, there is a way around it. So I've got it back on my PS4 now.
Have you finished it?
Yeah. It doesn't take long. I remember being gutted when it wasn't coming out as an actual game because it's really disturbing.
Yeah.
It was one of those ones where even the missus is watching it like from the couch as I'm playing it, going, "Ooh, oh, hang on, that's." So yeah, it's good.
I think the Resident Evil 7 was born out of that demo.
Very much so. It's very, even though one's Capcom, one's Konami, it's got that very similar feel to it, hasn't it?
Well, I started playing Death Stranding recently, which is kind of what
he did
ended up being.
It's what he did instead, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's got horror elements, but it's not a horror game. But there's definitely
simulator, isn't it?
It's actually not. I had all these preconceptions about what it would have been, and it's actually pretty good. Death Stranding. It's worth a play. Beautiful game, like stunning game.
Do you see the weird special edition for it, where you get a baby in a bottle?
You got a baby in a bottle.
You get a baby in a bottle.
If you play it, it makes sense if you play it. It's crazy. It's really out there, but it's good. I wouldn't say it was a horror game, but it's definitely got a horror sort of element to it. Yeah.
Miguel?
I don't play the horror games. Not into them at all. Not really. But I'm not a huge fan of like really scary horror movies either. The type that I'll have to cover my face.
What we got him on here for?
I do love them. I do love them, but I just can't bear to watch. I can't. I tried a bit of the VR, and my eyes closed. I couldn't do it.
What game on VR did you play?
I can't remember which. It was some horror one. The kids.
Was it Rush of Blood? That's the one we should have mentioned.
I don't know what it was. But So scary.
Rush of Blood, where it's you're on like a roller coaster, and you're getting driven through like killer clowns and saws and
Oh,
pigs,
God, no.
and you've got your two guns, and you having to shoot. So it's an unreal shooter, but in VR and horror. Imagine getting on a horror roller coaster ride through the Saw movies, kind of like that. Oh, mate, it's amazing. There's one scene though where the final boss is a giant spider, which walks out at you and starts birthing little spiders, which start crawling up your legs in VR.
Oh,
Is it-
God.
I should have picked that. That's good. I should have thought of that one. That's a great game.
I'll have a look at that. But you mentioned Saw. I haven't even seen any of the Saw movies.
I don't like Saw.
I do.
I like the
It's-
first one. First one was
It's not. It's not horror though. It's like
psychological.
torture porn.
What they
Isn't
call
it? It's not
torture
like
porn. Yeah, like that and
Yeah.
Hostel and
It's,
things like that.
Human Centipede.
I haven't seen that either. I know all about them, but
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea. Like
Shit,
you might enjoy it, Michael. To be honest, like.
So,
I know about it. I do know about it.
Nicholas?
Gratuitous.
what you got?
Alien Isolation on the PS4.
Oh, good,
Really
yeah,
good
shout.
choice. Yeah.
I mean, at first I wasn't sold on it because I was a big Alien 3, let's run around and shoot the life out of aliens and Alien Trilogy and things like that. But me and Chris worked with a guy called Craig Stewart, and he came to me one day and said, play this game, it's immense. I packed myself. And that were literally his words, and he walked off. And I went, okay, I'll give it a shot. And to this day, I turn it off after 5 minutes because I've jumped that many times and I've hit the roof. And I've thrown the controller across the room thinking, oh my God, what's going on here?
It's got
I
that
mean,
similar
what-
thing to Resident Evil 7, hasn't it? That
Yeah.
tension.
Oh, yeah.
See, Nick,
I mean,
that's what I'm like with horror movies. You know what I mean?
Me and a mate tried Alien Isolation when it came out on PS4, and we're both. It was a Sunday afternoon, and was sat cross-legged on the floor in front of the telly. So I'll have a look at this, and we're played through to where you first meet the alien. Right, it comes out of a vent, and you have to run to this like transport tram thing or something. And like both of them were like, "Fucking hell, run!" Got the thing, like heart's beating, got into the tram, and was like, "Ooh!" And he went, "You didn't shut the door." Turned around just in time for the alien. Tracy's watched her play. She said both were arses left the floor. Just like, what the fuck, man? It's a cracking game. It's one of the best, most atmospheric games.
Yeah. I mean, I paid a $5 for it on the PS Store, and every time I put it on, it's like 20 minutes in. Right, throw that controller across the room. Where's the spare one?
It does
And I
that weird
just
thing
think,
with
oh,
your mic,
God.
doesn't it? Have you?
Yeah.
You know, if you play it with the mic turned on, it listens. So there's a bits where you might have to hide in a closet or something whilst the alien's going past. But
Yeah, the
if you-
storage lockers where you can hear you.
But if you
And
speak,
it's like, oh,
or if there's a noise in your room in real life, the alien hears you and comes and finds you.
I didn't know that.
yeah.
So you're like,
Console out the window.
It's very similar. It is similar to Resident Evil 7. You know when you're hiding from the family in Resident Evil 7. Like you'll start with Jack with these, whether he's got one, and you've got to hide behind the tables and chairs, and while he's walking through, and your heart's beating. It's the same sort of thing in Alien Isolation, where it's the same sort of thing. You're hiding in corners, aren't you, and hiding and trying to get to the next bit without them seeing you. And yeah, brilliant games. But to be honest, Alien franchise kind of went a bit skew-whiff over the last sort of 10, 15 years, I think. And then that's kind of brought it all the way back around. It was a brilliant game.
Yeah, it was like, you read the reviews. I used to sit in the Metro and read the Metro paper and say, oh, well, this is a bit below what the Aliens games were. But it was solely on the fact that this guy, Chris, you'll tell the story. This bloke is a big bloke, 6 foot guy, doesn't take any shit from nobody. And when he come down to me and went, I papped myself and then walked off, I thought, right, I'm going to play that. I need to play that and see what it's all about. And to this day, I'm like, oh, never in the world.
PC versions in VR as well.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That sounds horrendous.
I'm not-
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, that was my reaction. Was nah. Nah, I played it through in normal. I'm not playing that in VR. Nah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, some good choices on horror games so far. Apart from Michael.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully Michael can contribute to this one then. Leaving games aside for a second, it's October. It's Halloween. The other good thing to do in October other than play scary games is, of course, watch scary movies. So I want to know what your favorite horror movie is for whatever reason. And let's go first of all with Nick.
Right, so there was a few I wanted to pick. My mate Gary Thomas, he would have said he's absolutely petrified in Nightmare on Elm Street, which is a load of rubbish. But I'm going to say Hellraiser, 1989,
First
original
one.
Clive Barker. Oh my God. To this day, I still think that guy, I'd hate to be in a house with him.
Pinhead.
No,
it's
not Pinhead. It's
the other one.
Frank.
It's
is the baddie,
brother,
isn't it?
Frank. Yeah, the brother Frank, who awakens the Cenobites, and I've never. I mean, again, you look at the franchise, and Hellraiser 3 is brilliant. I love Hellraiser 3 just for it's got a bit of a comedic volume to it, and then the new Cenobites.
Yeah.
But the first one, and I'm sure it was set in Basingstoke, and it's just absolutely horrific. And at the age of 40, you think, oh my God, I can watch this. And then you get halfway through and you've jumped about 6 times and you think, oh, well, how the hell have I managed to do that? I know what's coming around the corner. But it's one of those little creepers that sort of I remember watching when I was 13. And it was like, nah, I can't watch this again. And then you read by it and it's just still horrific. I'm thinking about it now and it's like, ugh.
We just recently watched them because I bought the box set, the steelbook of the first 3. And it's aged a bit, but it's really good. But there's bits you forget, like how little the Xenobites are in it. Pinhead's barely in that film. And he's certainly not the baddie. Obviously, you say it's Frank. But it's a bit surreal in places as well. Do you understand what the hell's going on with the tramp at the end who sets himself on fire and turns into a dragon?
Not at all. All I can think is that I always think about this and I think, is this meant to be actual Satan? Or what?
So the keeper of the box or something. Yeah, I don't know what he's meant to be.
Betrayed, and then he appears again in Hellraiser 3. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. It's like the fact that Jason Voorhees disappeared in Friday the 13th, Part 5. I know it's a bit surreal saying it that way, but he sort of appears and then disappears. And it's like, right, I don't get that. And I've always looked to see what it's all about. And I've heard, like you said, the gatekeeper of the box, Satan. And again, it was another Cenobite, but I still to this day watch it and think, wow.
I've not read the book because it's based on Clive Barker's Hellbound Heart, isn't it? But
that's the one, yeah.
I've not read it, so maybe it's explained better in there. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell us what that was all about. There'll be somebody who knows. Out of the 5 people who watched it. But I like Hellraiser. I don't think it gets the attention that some of the other big horror things do, but I like it. First 3, certainly. After that, it goes massive downhill.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the one that do where it's all about game over and things like that, and the virtual reality universe. And I think, well,
I haven't seen this before. I haven't seen them since I was a kid, and obviously it was really scary as a kid. Does it stand up to this day, would you say, as an adult?
A lot of it does.
I think the original one does.
Yeah.
At least the first 2.
Mm-hmm. Some of the special effects look a little bit ropey now. With when the zapping the lightning out of the box, it really does look CGI'd on.
Right.
But because the first one, it's all just about the story, isn't it? And it's like the creepiness of the story, and there's not a lot of need. The big special effect it does, like where he comes back to life and he emerges from the floor and stuff, still looks pretty good. It's really nasty. And
is the first one the bed scene?
No, that's the second one.
Is that the second one? That was horrible. That as well.
With a guy where he's disturbed and he's seeing maggots on his skin or something, and he gives him a razor. He carves himself up. Yeah.
Yeah, took the bed from the first one,
Yeah.
from where she was taken by the Cenobites, and yeah,
which is
That's
kind of a
actually-
retcon
but-
because she dies on
yeah.
the stairwell in the first one. When you watch them back to back again, you go, "Hang on, that's not how it happened." But but that's a good film, Hellraiser. It's the one I like.
I hope you haven't picked mine.
I was going to say that's going to be a Saturday night watch. That, Michael. To be fair, you're going to have
with
to
the
download
kids?
it. and watch it.
Kids are going to love that one, aren't they?
I think they'll be loving it better than you, mate.
Probably.
I'll go with one. And as much as I'll give Michael some grief over probably liking some teen nonsense, or Michael's is probably something that's been screened on, MTV Kids or
Disney
something.
Channel.
Yeah, Disney Channel. My choice for me favorite horror film of all time is actually rated 12. It's Jaws.
Jaws, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Not just the best horror film, probably my favorite film of all time. Just it still holds up so well. I mean, yeah, the shark looks like rubber, but you hardly see it. By the time you see the shark, you're so invested in the story that
Suspense.
it doesn't matter. It's absolute masterclass of film, and I don't need to tell you, everyone's seen Jaws.
Yeah.
Um,
Quality.
but absolute. I can watch it again and again. I've got it on Blu-ray a couple of times in different editions and DVD. And if I'm flicking the channels and it's on the telly, I have to stop and watch it. It's just so good. Richard Dreyfuss is amazing in it. Roy Schneider is always makes me laugh because he looks like my dad. How he looks like how my dad did look back then. So
You get a thumbs up from Carol, by the way, at the moment. It's like one of
Jaws.
her favorite films.
it's so good, so good. Jaws 2 was okay. Jaws 3 was terrible, and let's not talk about Jaws 4.
Yeah.
But the original one, I can't fault it. One of the best films of all time. I'll stop talking because everyone knows Jaws. So Jaws.
Brilliant. Good choice. Good choice.
Christopher.
So I mean, I've got to be honest. I was sitting here a little bit unprepared, but I'm thinking about the films that I like, horror films. But the one that I always go back to that I really enjoyed was The Ring.
The American version or the Japanese version?
The American version. And the reason I say it, I know it's probably a bit of an oddball choice. I went to see it at the cinema, and you were saying before about films needing a bit of a story. With the Hellraiser films, there was a bit of a story. I like The Ring because it's got the shitty jump scares, which is it's not it's not as much tension, if you know what I mean. But it was good because it was you kind of had to invest in the story and come along with the story. That infamous scene at the end when she comes out the telly, it terrified me. You're saying that Michael likes his kids' horror films, but I'm pretty tame with stuff like that. But I'm far more scared of things which I can invest in. So I invested in The Ring, and I really enjoyed it. And even now, when I watch it, I'll sit and watch it. The Ring.
Oh, I've not seen it.
You're not missing much.
No. Sarah Michelle Gellar's in it, like, to be fair.
Yeah, but I like it. I mean,
the only bit
I'll
that got me was the bit with a horse in the ferry. That's the only bit I really remember. The rest of it I remember being really forgettable.
Yeah, it was just it's like early 2000s, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Yeah, Hollywood went through that thing of redoing a lot of Japanese horror. They did The Ring and The Grudge and things like that.
Yeah, the genre kind of changed in it from the kind of teen high school horrors. It kind of changed to the sort of Japanesey sort of horror films, didn't it? But I enjoy it, and yes, it's one of them ones that still freaks me out to this day. So that's my choice. Sorry to disappoint.
All right, strap yourselves in, because ready for a lesson in mediocrity. Michael, what you got?
Right, I know you're thinking pick something from the 90s or some cheesy crap.
I bet it's got like Denise Richards or somebody in it.
Yeah.
Probably ours.
No, great movie. But actually, just sitting here and thinking like you, Chris, I picked the one that came out the year I was born. Can you believe?
King Kong.
Were they making films when you were born? Black and white, was it? Psycho.
Ooh.
Alien. I've picked Alien.
The
A
original.
movie. Yeah. Like what you're on about suspense, with Jaws.
Hold us back. I'm actually impressed.
Yeah, I am as well.
Alien had that same sort of thing, didn't it?
It's a haunted house movie.
You literally don't know what was coming. It was horrific.
It's a proper horror movie, Alien. Think about it. Bunch of people locked in a confined space being stalked by an unstoppable killer.
Yes.
It just happens to be a creature in space. It's class. And yeah, it's all about the suspense. I'm not going to get into the argument of which is better, Alien or Aliens. It's Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But Alien is a totally different movie, and horror where Aliens is an action movie. Yeah. Class film.
Yes.
Aliens is brilliant, and I think they did such a good job on it as well as a sequel. I mean, I enjoyed Aliens 3 as well.
I think it's vastly underrated, Alien 3.
I do, and I think they should have stopped there. Them 3, brilliant, and that's it. But Alien, 1979, that movie. I mean, the director, local lad, I think he's blew it out of the water for that long ago, 41 years ago. I could watch it now and I'd still shit myself.
When they released it in the early 2000s and I had it back in the cinema, I had to go and see it because I wanted to see it on the big screen.
Yeah,
we had a music class when I was in secondary school. I had a music class, and it was about film scores and what have you. And Alien was that one episode and watched one lesson and just watched Alien in music class. Brilliant. Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's reminded me of a discussion actually we had last year. See if you can see what you make of this. Because Alien, obviously, it's a sci-fi movie, but it's absolutely a horror.
Yeah, it's a horror. Yeah,
absolutely.
But sci-fi and horror kind of merge.
They can.
They
can. But Alien, the settings are relevant. It's a horror movie. It's an unstoppable killer tracking down and slaughtering people trapped somewhere. It doesn't matter. It's a spaceship rather than a haunted house or a factory somewhere. It's the same thing. So if we're going to agree to that now, and bear this in mind, is Terminator a horror movie?
I think Terminator 1.
Terminator 1.
Definitely. It is, yeah.
Terminator 1. Forget the fact he's a robot, right? He's an unstoppable killer stalking a girl, murdering anyone in his path. It's very similar to a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees. She's got the last girl syndrome because everybody else dies and she finally kills it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whenever I said that to someone last year and they went, "Don't be stupid, Terminator can't be regarded as a horror movie." When you explain it like that, you reckon Terminator is a horror movie? Terminator 2 obviously is not, but Terminator.
Yeah, there's some scenes in Terminator, especially when you're younger. You watch, what the Alsatians when they get sent them in the bargain, and when you're a kid watching that's pretty scary.
He's doing the whole Jason thing, isn't he? He's slowly walking, stalking her.
Yeah,
can't be stopped. Kills anyone who gets in his way. I think it is.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of sci-fi movies it crossover horror. I mean, even Jurassic Park, which is one of my favorite films of all time, has a big horror element. That scene in the kitchen, the first time you watch it, it's pretty terrifying. The tension and the music and what have you. Yeah. It's a horror film. That's horror.
Yeah, I mean, John Carpenter's The Thing. Look at that.
I almost picked that. I almost picked that today as being one of my picks.
Brilliant.
The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is incredible.
Borderline.
Have you seen the remake?
It was like a remake stroke prequel type thing, wasn't it? It was.
I even like that.
Okay, it was okay. It's one of the things I didn't hate it, but it's just I love it's not the original. I love John Carpenter's so much that I can't. The other one was just okay.
So we all picked some decent ones.
Yeah, they're all films I enjoy watching. Nice one again. Hey, what's that agreeing and shit? I'm not supposed to agree. Michael, quick, say something controversial.
This is what I'm going to do this weekend.
I had that when I was a kid.
What's that?
Quality game.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, I've never played it, so I've got it for me and the kids this weekend. Ghostly Galleons, Halloween, rocking it out. Okay.
Right, we're back with the Northeast Retro Den podcast, and the guest of the week is Paul Clark. Paul Clark is part of a Ghostbusters cosplaying troupe. Um, is that the right phrase for it?
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Yeah,
Ghostbusters UK, is that you guys?
it's Northeast Ghostbusters UK.
Northeast Ghostbusters UK. There we go. So Paul will be at events dressed like a Ghostbuster. So what we'll do is we might as well. It's the Halloween episode, so you know what? Cosplaying's a big thing on the geek community, and we see a lot of it at the nerd events. So it's about time we got a decent cosplayer in, not what we manage. And we'll ask you some questions and find out just why busting makes you feel good.
Sure, absolutely.
We're not doing another diddle diddle diddle.
I love it. You've got to fit that in.
That's Michael's contribution for the night.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you later.
Just going to quietly get drunk now, is it?
Things it's dead easy for me to find these transitions, you know, and work them in. Right. So, what we're going to do, first of all, how long have you been busting ghosts?
About 7 years, yeah. I started about 7 years ago. Found there used to be one big group for all of the UK called the UK Ghostbusters, funnily enough. Met them at an event in Newcastle, and I built a proton pack as a thing in my spare time. Big collector of movie props and building replica props, and kind of went from there.
So, what made you do it though? I mean, did you think it sounded fun, or is it like a camaraderie? Is it, you know, like a social thing?
So what it was is when I was at this event in Newcastle, it was at the arena in Newcastle, just a Comic-Con. The guys had all their gear on, all of their suits. They were collecting for charity. It was a big charity thing for them guys, and everyone was just getting photographs and putting donations in the buckets and having a good time. I just kind of thought to myself, I've got all of this kit. I actually did it for my 30th birthday. That's what it was. I put all the kit together for my 30th fancy dress party birthday. And I just thought, let's just sit in there. And what these guys were doing, especially with the charity side of things, I just thought it was a great thing to get involved in. So dived straight in. I was invited along the next day, the second day of the event. And it's just kind of spiraled from there, really.
Sounds like fun. I've seen you at events. I've seen you dressed up. I like any excuse to get dressed up and drink beer around other nerds and geeks. It's always good. So what would you say the favourite event you've attended is?
We've done a lot, up and down. I mean, we've done stuff for Sony in the past as well. So we've done the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters, which was 5 years ago. That was quite a cool event down in Birmingham. It was just a big screening of the two movies back to back, and a few guys from Sony there. There was no one from the cast or anything. It was just Sony execs, but it was a good evening. So that's one of the best. But to be honest, we love all of the events. Every single one we go to, just generally meeting people and chatting about the gear. There's so many good ones in the Northeast now. Obviously, Nerd was our first time last year. We were gutted that we couldn't do it this year, like a lot of people, but we had an absolute blast at Nerd last year.
You brought along the containment unit as well. That was you guys, wasn't it?
We did, yeah.
That was pretty cool.
My mother-in-law.
My wife doesn't think it's cool. It's on the wall in the garage at the minute.
My mother-in-law loved it. She's got a picture with you, Paul. I'll put it on the.
I seen it the other day. Yeah,
absolutely loved it. Had a great time. It's good for all ages, isn't it?
It's just, yeah, like you say. I think that's one of the things at events at the minute is. I mean, I'm 37. You know, like I grew up on Ghostbusters, watching the cartoons and seeing people bring their kids along now that are my age that were just in love with it when they were younger, and they've just passed it on. I think it's like everything, isn't it? It's like Star Wars and a lot of it. It's great seeing different ages all involved in it.
Next one. So, there's a Ghostbusters movie on the horizon, isn't there? I think it's coming out next year.
There is, yeah. It's just been delayed again.
Yeah. I don't think it's called Ghostbusters 3. I forget what it's been called.
It's Afterlife.
That's it. Afterlife. Are you planning anything for that? Like for the launch night? Are you going to do anything?
So, fingers crossed, hopefully. We've got a guy from Yorkshire who's busy building a 59 Cadillac, replica of the car from Ghostbusters. He's got a few connections down in London. So we're hoping if there's a premiere that we might be involved in that, but it's just one of them things that's up in the air. He seems quite confident. Me, on the other hand, I'll be happy down the Metro Centre at the cinema.
So what are you going to manage? What can you manage this Halloween? Are you up to anything or?
No, literally nothing. We had obviously Nerds Halloween party con planned, and then we had a couple of just local events, and they've all been knocked on the head, unfortunately. We sometimes done the ghost train up at, I can't remember where it is, the local railway. They do a ghost train, and we've done that in the past, but everything's just non-existent this year. So yeah, quiet weekend in.
Paul, during Halloween night, do you go out in your Ghostbusters costume?
I don't. My wife would shoot us. No, I'm joking. So we don't have kids. It's just the two of us. I do like to do stuff for the kids in the street though. So we put a display on and things like that. So we've got a pretty cool like a hologram of Slimer in the window this year.
That looks brilliant.
Yeah, that's
that was fantastic. Yeah.
I have in the past wore the jumpsuit to answer the door and stuff like that, and people get a kick out of it. But,
I would.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's what. So
I would go up and down the street. I don't know.
Just blasting the music, just.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Look at me. Oh yes.
which one though? Ray Parker Jr. or Bobby Brown?
Ooh.
I prefer the second soundtrack.
I do.
Oh.
That should have been one for 5. Anyway, so what's your favourite piece of Ghostbusters merch you've got?
What that I have, or just in general?
No, that
what got. I have. Probably this guy behind us, actually.
Stay Puft.
So he's a model of Stay Puft. He's actually from 1983. He was a Chinese knockoff. Tuscunda models or something made them in the 80s. Didn't have a license or anything, but they're one of the, kind of looks like a Marquette from the movie. How cool they are. So yeah, probably this guy.
Nice, isn't it?
Cool, I like it.
Do you want to see mine? Do you want to see my favourite piece of Ghostbusters merchandise that I've got? You show me yours, I'll show you yours, you show me mine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got this recently, just got this a month or two ago, so I'm quite pleased with it. Ghostbusters Optimus Prime.
Oh yeah, it was cool. Yeah, they've just done Back to the Future one as well.
I have. Yes, I've got it on order.
Yeah.
So this was because it was the 35th anniversary of Ghostbusters and Transformers at the same time. So
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was the reason, but yeah.
So they did a crossover with comic books and things like that, and they did Optimus. You can see his trailer behind me with the Ghostbusters thing, and I love Transformers and love Ghostbusters, and didn't tell the missus how much it cost, but it was, but it's bloody nice.
Best of both worlds.
Exactly, definitely. Right. So what we'll do, what we tend to do when we get a guest on is Chris comes up with 5 fun questions where it's an and or an or. Okay, so there's nothing too stressful, but just first answer that comes into your head. If you feel the need to justify it, you can, but you don't have to. Okay. Now the first one he's put, the first question he's put is a bit crap because he's put Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters 2. Well, I don't think anyone's picking Ghostbusters 2 really. I don't think it's a bad film, but nobody thinks it's better than Ghostbusters, does it?
I don't think it's better.
Let him answer the question.
No,
I don't think
what
it's
I've done
better.
is I've changed your question, Chris. So instead of Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters 2, what I'm going to ask is Zool or Vigo?
Okay. Zool.
Zool?
Yeah. But I just answer the original question. I prefer Ghostbusters 2.
Hey, there you go.
So Ghostbusters 2 is my first memory of going to the cinema. So it was 1989, going to the Metro Centre with my dad to see it, just me and my dad. My mum had just had my baby brother that year. And I think I actually seen Ghostbusters 2 before I'd seen Ghostbusters 1, even though I'd been watching all of the real Ghostbusters cartoons like since about 87. So Ghostbusters 2's, for me, They're both brilliant, I think, personally.
It's a good question, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'll agree with you, Chris. It was a good question, yeah.
Thanks.
Scolari
All right.
brothers.
I'll stop trying to edit Chris's questions then. Although I think I know where the next one's going as well. The real Ghostbusters cartoon or the Transformers cartoon?
It's a tough one. I used to watch both. It's a bit biased, isn't it, when you're asking a Ghostbusters fan? No, yeah, I'll have to go with real Ghostbusters. I remember more of the episodes than what I do of Transformers, but I did used to watch both, and I love the original Transformers movie.
Yeah. The 86 movies.
Yeah.
Did you ever see any of the Filmation Ghostbusters cartoons in the 70s?
No, with the gorilla.
The gorilla and
one?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, nah. I discovered all that like as I got into the hobby more. That there was like another cartoon and things, and I can't remember that.
My brother wanted was it when Ghostbusters was real Ghostbusters was out? He asked for Ghostbusters stuff, and he got bought. Like one, do you remember those cassettes that used to read along with a book?
Yeah.
My grandma or someone had bought me, Butch had bought him the Filmation one with a gorilla called Alice or something, and we were just like, "This isn't Ghostbusters. What's this?" Okay, look. Resident Evil or Silent Hill?
Resident Evil for me, although I've specifically Resident Evil 2. It's the one I remember. Absolutely cracked myself so many times with that. But the first time I played Silent Hill, I actually made my brother, that's 6 years younger than us, sit in the room with us.
Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees?
Myers. I love Halloween. I think it's I'm a big John Carpenter fan. I think the first Halloween's just brilliant.
The Ghostbusters reboot.
Well, you know.
Or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom?
Oh, both terrible. I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. I love Jurassic World. I thought the first one was brilliant. But if I have to pick lesser of the two evils, then I'll say Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
I've never seen the Ghostbusters reboot. But,
yeah, don't.
Really?
No. I would have done, but I've just heard so many times how bad it is that I just haven't.
It's not funny.
The best thing about the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Do you remember when they're trying to get off the island because obviously the volcano's gone up? And then they look back and there's this like brontosaurus or something going, "Help me! You forgot me!"
It's just gone too far, hasn't it? The Jurassic. I'm quite looking forward to the new one with the original cast returning.
Right.
Yeah, me too.
But at the same time, I'm just like, I mean, the positive thing is it's got the director of Jurassic World coming back for it, not the second one. And I'm hopeful that they somehow redeem it, but you just don't know, do you? I think it's got a bit far now with the human genetics and stuff.
Jurassic World was fun, but I mean, nothing will compare to the first one. The original Jurassic.
Did you see the short they did? They did a short with the Allosaurus in the wildlife park. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I thought it was very good.
That kind of captured the feel of the first Jurassic World, you know, with the tension and stuff again with the dinosaurs and the family kind of thing. But
it was the baby stuck in the chair, wasn't it? The baby was stuck in the chair.
Yeah.
It was like the tension. They're going to get the baby out in time before the Allosaurus eats it.
Have you ever read any of the concepts for the sequels to Jurassic Park before they did Jurassic World?
Yes, there was the military thing where they're trying to make dinosaur human soldiers or something. Yeah,
human hybrid thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to have like cannons and things on their shoulders, and also so it's just like ludicrous.
That was the canned Jurassic Park 4, wasn't it? That was the dinosaurs with the human heads and awful.
We mainly talk about video games on here. We're supposed to talk about video games on here. Ghostbusters video games. Played any of them?
A few over the years, yeah.
I mean, there was the original
terrible
one,
Commodore 64 one.
Yeah, that was one we used to play where we split on the Spectrum, but where you'd have to try and you'd get the two guys either side and get Slimer in the middle.
Commodore 64 was my first foray into gaming. And I had the original cassette Ghostbusters.
I would play the tune at the beginning. We used to spend hours on that. It was
I don't know how. I just remember driving the car constantly. two guys walking towards each other and then I would die or something. And then that's all I remember.
There was a one in 2009 where it was actually had the original cast coming back from it. And, they did a remaster recently, didn't they? That was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the Switch, yeah.
Yeah, felt like a sequel to the movies with the story and things. I think it's because Dan Aykroyd had a bit to do with the writing of it. But
I think he did.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic.
Interestingly, that one, if you're a PC gamer, is going to be free in a week or so's time on Epic Games.
All right.
We're doing the remastered version free for Halloween weekend. So, top tip: grab that if you've got a PC. Nice one. There is other Ghostbusters games, but I haven't played them. Anybody? Oh no, you're right. Mega Drive had a good one, didn't it? The little super deformed platformy one.
That's right. I didn't know until recently. I mean, I've had it for a couple of years, but I just played it last week at the arcade because I've started putting the Halloween type games in, and I just thought I'll put it on, and it's actually really good fun. I enjoyed that. Worth it.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
What other spooky games would you recommend, Paul, to the viewers out there, to the dozens and dozens of viewers who'll be watching this?
I'll give one classic and one recent then. So classic, I love Splatterhouse. I used to love the whole, I think as a kid, I think it was the whole gore thing of Splatterhouse. I used to love that. And recently, well, not recently, probably it was about 6 years ago, Alien Isolation.
Yes.
Loved it. Again,
what about,
big Aliens fan, and I just thought it captured it perfect.
What about movies? All-time, like, horror movies and...
my favourite, I've got two. My favourite horror movie is The Thing, and close second is The Shining. Cliched, I know,
nice.
but I just love it.
Yeah. Scary.
Actually made my wife watch it last Halloween, and it was the first time she's seen it. And
enjoy it.
I don't think we'll watch it again.
So, Paul, it's been great having you on the Northeast Retro Den podcast. Can you tell us where people can find out more about the Northeast Ghostbusters and the like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on Facebook as the Northeast Ghostbusters UK, and we're on Instagram as well, just under the same name. If you head onto the page at the minute, we're running a Halloween competition. There's a whole bunch of Ghostbuster goodies up for grabs, and you simply just enter by placing your name and your favourite Ghostbusters quote in the comments.
Nice one. I'll put links to all that down below in the description.
Champion.
But thank you for this month's guest, I should say, Paul Clark, Northeast Ghostbusters. Bustin' makes him feel good. Paul, before you go, I just have to ask you one last question.
Sure.
Have you ever crossed the streams?
Just in the toilets with my best mate.
Paul, thanks very much.
Cheers, guys. Been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Right, so guys, just to end tonight's retro podcast of all things horror, we've just got the quote of the cast to go. And Nick's going to give the quote. If you know the quote, you will win this prize to be held up by Michael at this moment. It is a signed copy of the graphic novel Diseased Freaks.
Diseased Freaks?
Which Nick wants, which Nick wants, but he can't have because he's actually asking the question. So if you know the answer to the quote, stick it down there on the Facebook group for the thread for this post, for this video. Nick, what is the quote?
So the quote is, sometimes dead is better.
So sometimes dead is better. If you know which game, movie, song, or something like that it's from, obviously it's something Halloween related, something spooky, but you can probably get that from the quote. Mark it down below. First one to get it right will win the prize, courtesy of Miguel Henderson. I want to thank my compadres here, Michael Henderson, Nick Atkinson, and Chris Sager, for helping us with episode 7, Nerdcast Halloween special. After yourselves, give away sweets to the kids. Didn't catch COVID.
Happy
Cheers, guys.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.